Is a former New York Jet interested in a possible reunion? We discuss, plus, whether or not we can solve the starting five for the New York Jets this offseason. We discuss. Let's get into it right now.
Zoinks! But it is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field Gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor?
But Trevor Gosh darn Sycamore, baby. For me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
Good morning. What's poppin', everybody? I'm Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast, baby. And let's get into it here. George Fant, is he interested in coming back? So here's what happened. Let me give you the skinny. All right. There's also a full article in the YouTube description down below if you prefer to click and follow along as you're going through this. So Bleacher Report puts out these kind of articles all the time where they say top 3 free agents the Jets should avoid or top 3 free agents they should pursue or what have you. So they wrote an article, the top 3 free agents the Jets should avoid. And one of the names on the list was George Fant. George Fant catches wind of this article and he tweets about it. Here's what George Fant says. Like I said, we have all the details in the article down below. I usually try to stay out of stuff like this, but at some point it has to stop. If you're writing an article, watch the film yourself and stop using PFF as the basis, because in the article, the criticism of George Fant was this from Joe Tanzi of Bleacher Report, quote, "The Jets need one of the best pass blockers in the free agent class, and George Fant earned a 60.4 pass blocking grade from Pro Football Focus." So basically the gist is that Bleacher Report accused George Fant of being a poor pass protector and named several other pending free agents under suspected to be or are better grade-wise from PFF. George Fant's like, what does that even mean? And he tried to debate with a couple of fans about how the grading system isn't a perfect science. And here's how I feel about PFF grading real quick. And really life. Now we're getting philosophical here. I think it's important for all of us, even this show, although you should, of course, take this show as gospel, but even this show, you should all have a filter when you're listening to me, ESPN, whatever, and gather information. I compare it to this. I'm a massive fantasy football fan. At one point, I need help, but at one point, a couple years ago, I was in 18 fantasy football leagues. I am no longer in 18. I've reduced it by a lot. But my advice as a fantasy football player, as someone who consumes a ton, I buy fantasy football magazines. I listen to podcasts. I'm watching ESPN television on it. Like, I consume a ton. But what I do is I filter all the information that comes into my brain. I don't, everything I see, like one analyst saying, screw this player, and another analyst saying that player's the best. I filter everything. So I take in a lot of information and then I put them in categories. That makes sense. That does not make sense. Garbage. And I think that's how we should take everything. So PFF, for instance, is not the end all be all. When it's, I think it works like this for Jet fans. When it grades favorably in a situation we agree with, we go, aha, PFF, baby. Look at the numbers. And then if it doesn't, behoove or back up a situation we agree with, we're like, it's PFF. They suck. Screw those guys. But everything's a filter. I think PFF isn't garbage. We've had plenty of PFF people here on the show in history. Trevor Sycamore is in the freaking intro, for Pete's sake, of PFF. I think it's a valuable resource that's in the pile. But I don't say PFF is the reason why insert is this or that. So George Fant actually has probably a fair, criticism of PFF. that, again, it's not the end-all, be-all. Pair some film and other parts of the analysis to get in there. But I digress. But George Fant responding to this article, now here's kind of conspiracy theory. So the article was about free agents the Jets should avoid. George Fant read the article and said, hey, not so fast, pal. Don't, look at PFF. So in a way, is George Fant expressing some level of interest potentially in a family reunion with the New York Jets? He was here for 3 years, from 2020 through 2022. This past season, and what a value, by the way, for the Houston Texans. They got George Fant on a 1-year deal for $3 million. He appeared in 16 of the 17 games? Not too shabby. So great value. It was actually a really good player. In that same article, by the way, from Bleacher Report, they called him, quote unquote, one of the better tackles available on the free agent market. They just don't really love his pass protection. But in an overall sense, they said he is one of the better players that were available from that standpoint. Did he somewhat express interest? He's a free agent to be on the market. And I'll tell you this about George Fant real quick. Story time. Okay. Story time, kiddos. There's some Jet fans that still hold some sort of ill will towards George Fant because they say, he complained and got frustrated by the left tackle, right tackle thing. And here's the truth, people. Here's some truth bombs. Okay. George Fant signed with the New York Jets in March of 2020. He signed under the impression he was going to be the left tackle for the New York Jets. That's what he signed, under that impression. A month later, the Jets draft Mekhi Becton. He becomes the left tackle, and George Fant's ass gets kicked to right tackle. So again, George Fant signs the deal. Oh, man, can't wait to be the left tackle of the Jets. That was the pitch from the Jets to George Fant. George Fant has confirmed that on multiple appearances, publicly. And then they draft Mekhi Becton. Because, and here's what I've heard. So that's true on George Fant. Now here's what I've heard. When the Jets had the decision between Mekhi Becton and Tristan Wirfs on draft day with the 11th overall pick in 2020, I've heard the Jets went with Mekhi Becton because he was a left tackle and Tristan Wirfs was not. Tristan Wirfs was projected as a right tackle. Some people said guard, but still, right tackle, not left tackle. Okay, and the Jets pick Becton because he's a left tackle. Now, do you want to know what's funny? Funny, not funny, okay? Is Tristan Wirfs ended up moving to the left side anyway. He was a left tackle for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past season. And ironically enough, Mekhi Becton ended up at right tackle. So if the Jets would have delivered on what they said, if they told George Fant that he was the left tackle and then drafted Tristan Wirfs, who was the right tackle, the Jets starting tackle tandem in 2020 would have been George Fant, who's playing where he wanted to and what he signed for, and then Tristan Wirfs would have been the right tackle. There's an NFL. What would have happened if the Jets followed through with what they said? But that's neither here nor there. But I think that's important context as we kind of go into this, because it's very important context, because George Fant wants to find a home. Like cue the, that one commercial with Sarah McLachlan and the crying puppies and stuff, the sad music plays. George Fant just wants a home. And you want to know what? The Jets weren't willing to give him a permanent home in 2020 or 2021 or 2022. Robert Saleh said publicly that George Fant's superpower is a blessing and a curse. He can play left tackle. He can play right tackle. He can play all over the place. And Saleh said publicly that his curse is that he can play both, so the Jets always want to have that capability to use him at both. Robert Saleh said that. And George Fant, of course, expressed frustration on multiple occasions. 1 week he's playing left, 1 week he's playing right. He signed to be a left tackle, ends up as a right tackle, and flips all over the place. He saved the Jets' tuchus on multiple occasions because when Mekhi Becton gets injured, out for the season, everyone starts switching around. Morgan Moses, right tackle, George Fant, left tackle, and they're moving all these pieces around. He saved, again, their tuchus on multiple occasions, that being of Mr. George Fant. So I just want to make sure that's out in the universe that this guy saved the Jets' butt on multiple occasions, and he's a really talented guy, but he wants a home. And again, the Jets weren't willing to do that during his career, but they may be willing to do it now. Why? Robert Saleh with Elijah Vera Tucker He had this to say. Okay, let me pull this up. This came at the end of season press conferences. Jets head coach Robert Saleh was asked if Elijah Vera-Tucker will be the right tackle next year when healthy. Quote, I'll just say it. I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to tell him. We want to get him at one spot. There's a lot of reasons to believe. And then he said things of that nature about the injuries and other things like that, Robert Saleh. So he wants to get them in the same spot. AVT. Now, if the Jets are having this mentality change, because before they're all cool. Wow, we got all these versatile guys. We put them all over the place. This is great. But now it's about finding holes and plugging them and then keeping the guys. Continuity is so friggin' important. So I go back to this. If Robert Saleh is finally willing to keep guys where they are, so AVT, either guard or tackle, maybe we'll have to do an episode on that too, but whether it's guard or tackle, okay, wherever they're keeping him. Maybe if you bring in Fant, you could plug him in at one of the spots because the Jets need a lot of help. They need a left tackle. They need a right tackle. And that would allow them, in theory, to get it right. So, that's the take. So, George Fant, long story short, I'm open to a reunion with George Fant. And it sounds like George Fant sort of is on Twitter indirectly. And I'd love it. The Jets need a left tackle. They need a right tackle. And, they're going to have to get creative with the spending to try to find a way to make it happen. Now, here's where it gets a little funky town. And we'll have to probably do a separate Boy Green Daily on this. But from the analysis, I got to double check who said it. I'm not sure if we have it in this piece. Let me double check real quick. No, it's in a separate piece. But I think it may have been Connor Rogers or someone of the like. The two big left tackles in this upcoming draft are Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu. And after that, there's a bunch of right tackles. That complicates the picture because if the Jets don't get, in theory, one of Joe Alt or Olu Fashanu, then the draft options will be right tackle. There'll be a bunch of quote-unquote Tristan Wirfs. So that means the Jets better have their biscuits ready. That's why I've been such a large advocate of signing a guy like Tyron Smith, or maybe in this case, George Fant could be your guy who has a lot of left tackle experience and prefers to play left tackle. I would highly and strongly advocate that the Jets sign a left tackle capable guy. Now, AVT can play left tackle, but again, I'd prefer him at guard, quite frankly. That's where I would like to see. That's where I would like to see personally for the New York Jets. And then you open up options. Now, I think Olu Fashanu is going to be on the board, but you don't really know. It's February 18th. The combine can change things in a week and a half. That can move some player stock here and there. But right now, my gut is Olu Fashanu will be on the board. I do not believe Joe Alt will be at this point, but again, anything can happen. So what I would like is investments across the board. I want left tackles. I want right tackles. I want guards. I want as many options as possible. And then you enter the draft from a BPA perspective. That's where I'm at from that perspective of the Jets. So I'm interested in a George Fant reunion, and I'd be willing to put him on the left side. But again, let's see what the draft happens. But they have to have very open and honest conversations. But I'd love Tyron Smith. You plug and play. You solve left tackle for a year or two, whatever the deal looks like. And then you go get BPA. Is that another offensive lineman? Is that a wide receiver? Is that if it's a bunch of the right tackles, then trade back. Pick up a second-round pick. Pick up some sort of additional assets and take Fuaga or whoever your guy is. Because the thing is, what NY Jets FL just says in here, and this is the uncomfortable part out loud, people. NY Jets FL posts this on YouTube. AVT is a huge question mark that none of us are counting as a question mark. We're all saying, oh, yeah, he's holding down one of the spots. He's going to be a plug-and-play tackle or guard. What if he's not ready for the season? What if he's a Dwayne Brown situation where he's hurt, and then week one, yeah, we could plug him in. I'm sure he'll figure it out. That could get a little testy, especially for a guy who has not been able to stay healthy. So he's a huge question mark that we are assuming is cool. Joe Tippmann, we're assuming is good. I think that's the important piece of the puzzle. I think that's an important piece of the puzzle that we're assuming, but is it fair to assume that? Let's go through some comments. We've got a lot of people in here. All right, let's see. Let's go through live. Any questions in here? Avatar. Chasing George Fant, have we reached that level? I mean, read the room, buddy. What do you mean reach that level? We are absolutely desperate. We don't have a left tackle or a right tackle right now. Of course, we've reached that level. We are in absolute desperation mode to add as much talent as possible. Now, you're making it sound like George Fant is some scrub. He actually performed very well last season and appeared in 16 of the 17 games, and he joined the team late. So, yeah, we are 100% there. I am above no one. Let me just put it that way. I am above no one. And they got to get creative because they can't just, I'm making this up. If he was a free, like Tyron Smith is 100% a free agent, but I'm trying to think of some right tackle option that's a free agent off the top of my head that's like a big name. The point is that you can't give like, I'm making these numbers up, but 50 million to Tyron Smith and 50 million to the right tackle. I don't think they have that kind of money in the coffers. So George Fant last year was a 1-year deal for $3 million. If you could get that, Tyron Smith's going to be a lot more expensive than that, but you just have to get creative. Trades, free agency, draft. We need bodies. We need bodies and we need depth. We need minimum 2 starters and we need depth beyond that. John Sauer from the Boyd Green Superman Club is down in beautiful 40-degree weather in South Carolina. Lived multiple places in South Carolina. Goose Creek, Somerville. I love South Carolina. Got a lot of South Carolina people down there. Let's keep going here with your guys' comments. Snowball. If we brought George back, I would Fant. That's funny. That's a good one. Let's keep going here. Good, reliable pieces. That helps NY Jets FL. My father chiming in. Let's see what he has to say. Whoa, this is a book. Okay. Players being upset about Madden or PFF ratings are also the ones that are angry at the scale when they step on it. Analytics use facts and data to rate players. If you don't like the rating, how about this? Do better, train, work out, hit gym, and shut up. I thought his one follow-up, though, in the comment section was he prefer that they put like a plus or minus, like an advanced analytic, to explain grade differences on the same play, because responsibility, that's the one thing that PFF does not know, that they kind of speculate on, is what is the job. They don't know the play, so they don't know what the person was supposed to do. So, like, that could get a little complicated. I'm throwing it on defense, for an example, but zone coverage. Did he have the flat? Did he have the upper third? Did he have quarters? Did he have this? Did he have that? Like, they don't know the play, so there's some guesstimation, which makes the PFF rating kind of messed up. Like, it's not like the teams are working with them and say, oh, this was the play. This is the guy who was responsible. So I think that's a fair counterpoint by George Fant on the rating system. Dakota says the Jets are re-signing Jamal Adams. We'll see. I've seen a lot of that flirtation on Instagram. I don't think a lot of fans are behind it, though. I don't think so. John Bushell on our YouTube says George has a value as a swing. He could be a very nice swing. I don't know if he would be for that, but that's a conversation for him. But a guy who's been here, a guy who has a lot of proven experience, which I like a lot. He has, I think he's had 99 appearance. Yep. He has appeared in 99 games in his career. He's made 73 starts with the Jets. I added up these numbers. Let me see if I can. I think I had the numbers here. Let me see if I can find them. It was basically his snap breakdown with the New York Jets. I added up the numbers last night for this piece, or yesterday for this piece. Okay, here it is. In his 3 years with the Jets, he played 1,186 snaps at left tackle and 1,046 snaps at right tackle. So almost equivalent on left to right tackle, according to the PFF snap numbers I added up last night. So, yeah, he has experience of both. Let's see. Jug Artist 14. So dumb, man. I can't get over that. Everyone knew Wirfs was better. Yeah, it seemed like Wirfs was the clearly higher floor player, and Mekhi was the ceilings guy. And you would think on your first draft pick ever, which was Joe Douglas's first draft pick, that you would go floor. But like I said, from what I understand, the reason they went Becton was the left tackle versus right tackle thing, which, like I said, looks pretty dumb now. So a lot of teams did not think Wirfs was a left tackle. Literally, Wirfs was a left tackle this past season. He jumped over. And then Becton was playing right tackle. So, like, you know, if that was truly the rationalization, which I heard it was, that looks dumb. Very, very dumb. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. We got NY Flight Jets talking here. What's up, buddy? And he's supposed to be having some sort of massive stream tonight with all these crazy people on it. I will try to make an appearance later tonight. Be one of the people in the back. Look at some of these names. He's got Connor Hughes coming on. Sunday night hangout stream. Nice. Okay. Go check out the channel. New Year NY Flight Jets Talk, baby. Should be a lot of fun stuff over there. He's been killing it. We had a Twitter space the other night. I went back on the Jets Lounge stuff. And Connor had a few questions for some of the players, like John Abraham's in there, Antonio Cromartie's in there. Who else was in there? There's a bunch of names in there. And then like Connor would come up, like, all right, Connor, ask a question. And he'd be like, Mr. Cromartie. He didn't have a British accent. I'm not sure why I'm doing that. But, yes, Mr. Cromartie, I wasn't alive when you played. That part really killed me, though. When Connor kept saying, for like John Abraham, I wasn't alive when you played. I was born in like 2011 or something. I'm like, Jesus. It just makes me feel old because I have interns at my radio station that are born after the year 2000, like after 2001. So they come in, they were born in 2002, 2003. I'm like, Jesus. Like that just, wow, that just kind of gets me. I'm going to be honest. I can't, my brain can't wrap around that. But hearing like guys like Brian Costello joined Connor's show, and he said he prefaced like this little story. He was saying, this player was before your time, and normally if you say that to me, right, you're saying, even like Joe Namath, right? Like he played before your time. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Obviously, Joe Namath is an old man. Of course, he played before my time. But Kaz's example was Eric Smith, the Jets safety who played like in the mid 2000s. And when he says that's before his time, it's literally accurate, of course, because Connor was not alive. But it is funny to hear names like that, and Connor being so young in this content creation game, hearing names like that are before his time. It's funny. But anywho, back to the other thing. When he was asking the Legends players, they gave him a lot of respect. Like, holy crap, what a professional question. Like, so Connor, he's buttoned up, man. So I can't wait for all his podcast shows tonight. He's a friggin' superstar. Okay. A lot of Jamal Adams love. Bring Jamal back. Wow. Yeah, I'm always willing to bring the people back for the right price. Ooh, John Sauer says Tyler Boyd at 2 years, $18 million. Very reliable receiver, has been number 2 many times in his career. I'd prefer him as a number 3, but I'd like Tyler Boyd. He's exactly the non-sexy name I'd like to bring in, who's just a production guy. He's not that's not going to win many headlines, I would imagine, if this signing came to fruition. There's no way in my mind he could be the number 2, though. You need someone way more, because you want to bring in someone that will draw attention away from Garrett Wilson. With all due respect, Tyler Boyd isn't drawing attention from Garrett Wilson. Devontae Adams is drawing attention away from Garrett Wilson. Mike Evans is drawing attention away from Garrett Wilson. Those sorts of names, proven star guys, are the ones that are going to be pulling attention. Michael Pittman Jr., what have you, some of those kind of names would. Let's keep going here. Infrared, I haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Welcome back. Becton's a free agent soon. Yes, he will be in less than a month. I want to let him walk. We don't have money to play with here. What do you think, Boyd Green? Again, the only thing I'd be willing to do with Becton, and who knows if he'll be willing to take this. Maybe another team will bet on his youth and stuff and give him a multi-year deal with some significant money. I'd give him a 1-year prove-it deal just because I want more bodies in the room. I want more questions and answers. I think Becton played really well at times last year. He got injured. He missed that Black Friday game, and I don't think he was the same player after that. So I thought there was a lot of moments where I'm like, okay. So he played the most games he ever had in his career. 16 to 17 games. I'm pretty sure the only game he missed was Black Friday. So there was a lot to like from Becton last year. But again, this is a guy coming off back-to-back season-ending injuries. So, of course, there was going to be some rust and things of that nature. But yeah, I'd probably let him walk. I wouldn't bring him back as a guaranteed starter. I wouldn't do that for a lot of players outside of like Tyron Smith and stuff like that. I want to bring in a lot of guys to compete. So I'd be really looking through the coffers. But good comment here on YouTube on Becton. The chances are he's probably gone. But again, if the entire league evaluates him the same, it's a 1-year deal it's a 1-year prove-it deal, and everyone offers that, and he wants to take that. Okay, that's possible. Aaron Rodgers likes him a lot. I can see that. But I'm sure, again, it's more likely that the Jets move on, I would assume. Okay. Cole. Wow, that's bold. Becton will bounce back, be the starting left tackle. AVT left guard. Tippmann, right guard Dotson, or you have both guards here. Fuaga, bench. Carter Warren, David Bakhtiari, Jake Hansen, Connor McGovern, Wes Schweitzer. Signer drafts some more depth. Yeah, I think Bakhtiari is coming here 100%, but I don't think, same thing as I said about Becton, I don't think he's a guaranteed starter. He's just a bench guy. And why not have him for dirt cheap if he's Aaron Rodgers' best friend? I'll have talented offensive linemen just on the team for the emergency break the glass door. I wouldn't mind that. It's a nice dart throw for like vet minimum. I would. Becton starting left tackle day one would surprise me, but hey, anything can happen, I guess. Because now I'm like Dotson is going to cost a lot of money, and Fuaga, Fuaga at 10 would just be interesting. Now maybe they love him so much, but hopefully you could trade back and get another additional draft choice. But that's interesting. Let's see. My father is still annoyed about us talking about Tyron Smith. Sorry, pal, we're stealing him away. Ground and Punt, great comment on our Twitter. We don't get enough comments on Twitter. I think Fant is the one lineman that JD signed that actually outperformed his contract. And let's give the flowers for Joe Douglas for a second. He was made fun of for that signing. They said, George Fant, who's that? What a terrible sign. And I did an article, I think it was in the middle of George Fant's career with the Jets or the end of it. And I like highlighted a bunch of headlines reacting to the George Fant signing. And there was 4 or 5 articles from big name places that made fun of George Fant. Dumbass Joe Douglas move, this. And George Fant did outplay his contract. He was actually a very, very solid guy for the Jets. He played left tackle. He played right tackle. There's a few injuries. I think he appeared in, let me see if I have the numbers in front of me here. Yeah, he appeared in 37 of 51 games, 3-year, $30 million deal. And it was a risk. Obviously, he was like a jumbo tight end in Seattle, so he didn't have a lot of experience. So it was a really forward-thinking move for the Jets, an athletic basketball background guy that they took a chance on. And, that was actually really interesting. So, yes, he deserves a lot more flowers for that one for sure. So it'd be cool to get that one back. I was just threatened with the Chris Rock treatment. Yikes. Hey, pal. You can't pay everybody over there in Dallas. Let's finish off some stuff here. William says Fuaga at 10 is good. Then who is the left tackle? That's my question, baby. Who is the left tackle? Frank says Carter Warren didn't look bad at the end of the season. He did not. I don't know if I could rely on him as a starter. I'd prefer him as my swing, to be honest with you right now. That's what I would say. I would keep him as my swing for sure. Avatal says Illuminor, the Raiders pending free agent, will follow his former offensive line coach of the Giants, taking them out of the alt sweepstakes. Yeah, the Chargers are another interesting name that I didn't even think about for tackle, but I've heard some whispers they could be in. That would be a surprise team we weren't expecting initially that could jump into it. But Titans, that's the one. That just seems like a lock. That seems like the grid floor of everything falling track is Joe Alt. It's like the grate to catch the Joe Alt, like it won't fall any further, which would mean Jets, are you trading up at 6 with the Giants, or what are they costing you? So, man, that'd be interesting with how everyone talks about Joe Alt. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I love that, Avatar. In the the pre-draft process, Tristan Wirfs for Tyler Linderbaum, the high school wrestling. Yeah, the high school wrestling is pretty good stuff, man. It is pretty good stuff when you get that in the drafting party. Okay. Yeah, you bet. Oh, Jamal Adams followed New York Flight Talk on Twitter. Nice. All right. He liked my Jamal Adams potential bringing back post, so he was a fan of that. We'll see. That would be, talk about a plot twist, right? Like in your favorite show, someone leaves the group and it's like they're never coming back, and then their music plays. They come through the door. You're like, whoa, Jamal Adams! Like, I want the Jim Ross voice on that one. That would be interesting. Let's see. Could be interesting with the safety situation. Chuck Clark, I hope he gets a chance. Let's see. No on Jamal Adams. My father thinks I'm being too sexy on all my wide receiver speculations. I want a superstar, baby. I want another massive name. Ko, baby. What's good? I'm just going through all your comments. Let's see. Okay. We knock on Becton. Some people don't want the diva back of Jamal Adams. Tyron Smith deal soon. Oh, yeah, baby. Give it to me. Illuminor. Interesting. Let me see. Wide receiver, too, then. Cortland Sutton would be a fun one. I see Greg Rallo said that. We did a video about that a week or so ago. I wouldn't mind. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of names to consider, and we'll get more into draft tomorrow on the show. Dom C in his normal Monday spot. We'll be talking about a bunch of stuff. You guys can submit draft questions, super chats, skip the queue. If you guys would like to get involved in that way, make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. Okay, we're over 6,000 subs, but we're shooting for 7,000, baby. We're going to keep raising that bar. And you guys have been doing it. It's been a lot of fun. So, George Fant, you want it back? Make sure you let us know in the comment section down below. Even if you're watching after the fact, we'll respond to the comments on YouTube. We can get into some fun chatter about that potentially. Looking forward to Dom Seed, like I said, tomorrow morning to talk all things Jets, NFL draft, and some mock draft action. We had a 7-round mock last week, which was pretty interesting. We'll get into some defensive players and other things of that nature to mix up the conversation. I'm very much looking forward to it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for Boy Green Daily here on the channel.